Okay, today I'm going to be working on a Hydroflame HF12 furnace. This came to me from another guy who had a 74 or 75 Mesa, and he pulled the furnace for whatever reason. Some people had worked on this in the past, and I'll try to point out the differences or what they have done. What I want to show you is how to get the burner unit out of this furnace, and I want to show you that because if the pilot jet is blocked, then you won't be able to light the pilot. And generally, you do that by sticking a match in this little hole here, and then closing it to turn the main burner on. If you can't get gas going in this pilot, and you know you have gas coming to the furnace, then chances are you have a blocked pilot jet. And so I'm going to try to show you how to get at that thing. Okay, so down here is the squirrel cage furnace, or fan. It's got a little switch here, off, on. It's got a fuse, and up on top, this is already disconnected, it's got a heat sensor. And so this fan won't turn on until this heat sensor says, okay, I've sensed enough heat, and now I'm going to kick the fan on, and this squirrel cage fan blows air up the back of the furnace, the heat chamber, and then blows out the top here into your cabin. You can see here that somebody decided, and I don't know whether this is right or wrong yet, decided that this heat sensor had failed, and so they replaced it with another one that was just kind of hanging in there. I'll test this one to see if it's still good, and if not, then I'll just use this one when this fan goes back in. Okay, the trick to get to your pilot jet, it's a little more complicated on the HF12 than it is on the later furnaces. You have to pull this entire burner unit. So you have 9 screws that go around and hold this thing in. Those screws have to come out. And I went ahead and disconnected both the pilot supply tube, which comes from the controller, and also the thermocouple. Now, you technically don't have to do that, but I wanted to see if I could get air to move through that pilot, and I couldn't, and that's how come I disconnected this. Okay, the controller is not connected to the frame of the furnace. It is only connected to the burner unit. That's saying once you take the gas connection off. So I'll show you there's kind of a trick to get this burner out. I've taken all the screws out, but I'm going to take out these final 2 here. And you can see that the burner will now move. There's a little lip inside of here that holds this plate, the burner unit, tight against this plate here. So you have to clear that, and then what a person will have to do is, that lip has to come to the outside of the furnace, and you tilt it up, and then it can slide over to the right. See how it's angled like this? My controller just clears the outside frame of the furnace, and then the burner clears this corner of the opening. Okay, and so now I have the complete unit taken apart. And as I turn it around, you can see here's the controller, the main gas pipe, it runs up into here, and these are the little holes that flame when your main burner is on. Now the pilot is down inside of here. And to get that pilot out, this is not a very good design in my opinion. I would have hoped that I could just unscrew some bolts here and pull that pilot jet out. That's not true. You have to reach down inside of here and take out a pair of rusty screws before that pilot jet comes out. Now, I've disconnected this pilot jet once already, so it should be pretty easy for me to get these little screws back out. And you'll see that there's not much room, and there's not good light, either one, to get in there to get these things taken out. There we go, I felt it click. So there's one screw, and I'll take the other one out. if I can see it. There. You see my screwdriver? Maybe you can see my screwdriver in there turning to take that screw out. Okay, the screw is going to fall out here. There we go. 2 screws are out. So here's my burner unit, thermocouple, pilot supply jet. I move those out of the way, and this pilot jet will now come completely out. Now inside of this hole there's a very small brass nozzle, and that's your pilot jet, and that has to be cleaned out. Don't use a drill bit or a piece of wire to try to clean it out. It's too small. It's got to be no more than 20 thousandths, and you'll ream it out. So you don't want to do that. So you have to clean this out by using some kind of solvent, either brake cleaner. I use both brake cleaner and lacquer thinner, and compressed air, and eventually you can get that to clear. So once that's clear, you know that your pilot is going to work, and so then it can go back in to your burner unit. And you'll have to put those 2 screws back in. I replaced those screws with socket cap screws because the Phillips had ones that were original, had been reamed out, rusted and reamed out. So I'll replace those back in. Then the thermocouple goes in this hole here. Your pilot supply tube connects back up to your pilot jet hole right there. You screw those both in, and at that point in time, your burner unit is going to be ready to go back in. By the way, this is a good opportunity to reach in here and blow or vacuum out any kind of gunk. If you've had mud daubers, you'll find out about it when you reach in here as well. Okay, so that's how to get this burner out, how to get the pilot jet out to clean it. And I think that is probably a pretty common problem with getting these things to run again after they've been sitting. Once I get this back in and everything cleaned up, then I'll tack on a video that shows actually how to start it and run it and all that kind of stuff.